Apes. They are the closest thing that humanity has in terms of family. These doo-doo flinging simians are a great source of insight for us, whether that be through anthropology, cognition and genetics, or through entertainment via screeching and flinging poo-poo at people for touching their favourite mango tree. Relatable, but this video is about a certain elusive mystery group of apes that some people are convinced are real, and some people think are just an urban legend among tribespeople. So, are the stories real? Maybe not, but still, it makes for an interesting subject to talk about. Maybe I just want to ramble about monkeys for a wee bit, so just shut up and enjoy me going off the cuff about a fun wee story about some perilous primates. The Joe Rogan monkeys, the Bondo mystery apes. Please leave a like and a comment on this video because it really helps me in the algorithm. Our tale begins in the Congo, again, where in 1908 in the town of Billy, which was named after the tributary and woodland of the same name, a series of skulls were found and collected in this area. Don't ask me how, that's not important, but these skulls were handed over to the central government in Belgium. Since we're already talking about a fake country, maybe the Bondo apes are a lot of bullshit. But anyway, these skulls were studied very thoroughly and something was not right about them. They were definitely not human skulls and they were clearly some other kind of primate. But the problem was, they were a lot bigger than the other primate skulls that had been found in the past. This discovery sort of paired with local folk tales of giant mysterious primates that were not like your usual primates. So this possibility of a new mystery species got the scientists very excited, and they got stuck right in to studying the skulls. However, these skulls turned out to be those of a gorilla, due to its bodacious mohawk ridge. So they were logged as such, but as a new subspecies. Except that upon closer inspection in 1970, these skulls were determined to actually just be the skulls of a regular Western gorilla. So, womp womp. However, where the story really begins is in 1996, where a Swiss-Kenyan anti-bushmeat campaigner by the name of Carol Ammon visited Beeley looking to go gorilla watching. Ammon decided to get some souvenirs, and he decided to collect some simian skulls, which, as we saw earlier, just seemed to be lying around in this area. But what's very important about the skulls that Ammon found is that upon closer inspection, they appeared to have some Harambe features mixed in with Caesar. That's to say, these were chimp skulls that had features of gorilla skulls. Most notably a sagittal crest, which is the little mohawk bump that gorillas have on their head. This was the source of much speculation in the ape community, monkey fan club, I don't know what the fuck it's called, but many of these simian scientists theorized that these mysterious skulls were actually a hybrid species between gorillas and chimps, which some people allege is possible due to chimps and gorillas sharing so many chromosomes, but it's extremely unlikely, and it has never been seen before, and even if it did happen, the offspring would likely be infertile like most other cross-species offspring. But there were a few of these skulls, enough for people to realise that this wasn't just some one-off crossbreed, but possibly a whole new species. Also, I'm going to be using Bondo ape and Billy ape interchangeably because they pretty much mean the exact same thing, and why am I doing that? Well, because wordplay is fun, and also monkey. As well as the funky skulls, Ammon got himself a photo. A photo of what looked like a very big chimpanzee. So of course, all of this coming out caused quite the stir, and before they knew it, the scramble was on to either disprove the validity of this monkey malarkey, or to potentially confirm it is in fact a genuine case of monkey miscegenation. And before you all, well, actually, yes, I know that they're apes and not monkeys, I just don't care, shut up. In the year 2000, Aman returned to this part of Africa, this time to an area told to him by a Cameroonian bushmeat hunter. Why an anti-bushmeat campaigner hired a bushmeat hunter, who fucking knows? But anyways, what did they find? No chimps. But what they did find was a few ground nests, which is gorilla behaviour. Chimps don't make ground nests, which was rather curious. Or maybe there was just gorillas in the area. That is all they found on that expedition, however. Aman tried again in 2001 by hiring an international team of scientists to accompany him. And what did they find? Absolutely fuck all. Now, as much as I dread to talk about this, because for some reason I've had to talk about this in multiple videos recently, we will, once again, have to talk about the geopolitics of the Congo. I know, I'm sorry, I swear it'll only take a second. And I do mean a second, because basically the Congo was right in the middle of a massive war throughout the entirety of the time that Aman was cutting about in the jungle looking for his prodigal primates. I might end up actually doing a video on the Second Congo War, because holy shit, that was fucking wild. But I do think I'm very Congoed out for a bit after this, and I would rather not go into all of the goofy names again. But either way, the war ended in 2003, so the country was substantially more accessible. So Aman tried once again to go into the Congo and prove those naysayers wrong. So he decided yet again to go and try to find his magic monkeys. What makes this attempt any different? Well, he brought along an experimental psychologist who was associated with National Geographic, the renowned nature magazine, who also gave a grant of £20,000 to go and find and photograph these funky monkeys. Well, this experimental psychologist, one Dr. Williams, claimed to be the first person in history to actually witness the Billy apes in person. And more interestingly, they apparently had footage of the beasts. Oh golly, actual real-life footage of what is in all but name a cryptid. I sure hope we get to see it. Well, tough shit, because we couldn't find this footage anywhere. And trust me, we tried our hardest to try and find it, but the best that we could do was find this other footage which allegedly shows the Bondo apes just wandering about in the wild. Some people claim that these are just chimpanzees, but if they are, these are some pretty fucking big chimpanzees. But for what it's worth, the footage apparently wasn't even anything notable, as even our man Aman thought it was all just a big nothing burger, as he thought it was just footage of bigger than usual chimpanzees fannying about in the wild and screaming, like all of us secretly want to do. So we can't see the Williams footage, which is pretty fucking gay, but the least I can do is give you an excerpt from Dr. Williams with regards to the Billy Boys. Not those ones. That's better. Rather than reading the account verbatim, I'll just give you the interesting cliff notes. The chimps were categorised into two categories by the locals who had the misfortune of running into them. The tree beaters, which were the betas of the Sigma hierarchy, called as such because they hid up in the trees like bitches and screamed constantly. They could be identified by their smaller leather frame and their low poison resistance, because poison arrows were commonly used to sedate these bastards when they were hunting them. And you know, they're in the trees. Truthfully, they're not that interesting. The latter category are the ones that everyone is most interested in, known affectionately as the lion killers. It may shock you to find out, judging by this title, that they in fact apparently had a penchant to kill and eat lions, amongst other large aggressive animals. The lion killers were able to commit such feats of strength and prowess due to the fact that they were reportedly bipedal 6'5" chimps with the heads of gorillas, who were fond of sleeping on the floor like gorillas, and they hunted in complete silence. Except for when they would almost ritualistically scream at the moon in unison every single night. Gorillas and chimps are almost always making some kind of noise and racket, but the idea of these guys hunting in total silence while walking upright, that's a little bit fucking scary. These Congo Mongos were witnessed personally by Williams and Co. when they were intruded upon by a presumed Bondo ape hunting party. The Sam-Hyde-sized chimps were charging through the trees in complete silence until coming face to face with Williams, who claimed that upon seeing a human face, they backed away slowly in complete silence before vanishing into the night. For me, that's a fuck this place, first flight home kind of situation. So, did this actually happen? Once again, I can't say, because Williams is an unreliable narrator. But the idea of a squad of 6.5 foot tall gorilla chimp hybrids stalking you from the tree line in complete silence is a horrifying enough mental image that I still had to bring it up. It also doesn't help that I've been replaying The Forest recently. And I don't know if I need to explain to you why the lion killers sound so fucking spooky. But just in case you somehow don't know this, chimps are fucking terrifying. They are animals through and through, just ripping and tearing through anything stupid enough to get in their way. There are way too many videos and stories of zoo workers or other people or people dumb enough to try and keep them as pets getting absolutely mauled to death or severely disfigured by a 4-foot Curious George that got a bit moody. They don't just fling shit, but fists as well. There's even reports of chimps pinning down other enemy chimps while other chimps rip off their genitals and disembowel them. So, a 6.5 foot tall one of those? Nah, no thanks. No fucking thank you. But, in conclusion to the Williams account, big if true, but without real proof, not gospel. Aman seemingly didn't approve of Williams' shenanigans, and he formally submitted a letter denouncing Williams for being unprofessional and for also, I assume, being a woman. Williams responded by announcing that she would return to the jungle with her own expedition to find the Bondo Bros and to get Aman to shut his fucking mouth. Coming in on the defence was one of Aman's boys, one Cleve Hicks, who accompanied the two on the 2003 expedition. This Steve Jobs lookalike had the audacity to claim that the Billy apes were in fact not even a subspecies, but in fact just normal, regular chimpanzees, who just acted completely differently from chimpanzees for some reason. When DNA samples came in from recovered hairs and genetically confirmed for a fact that they were just standard Eastern chimpanzees, Williams retorted by essentially going, "Nuh-uh," and claiming that the hairs found were somehow contaminated. Maybe she licked them, but that's just conjecture. 1 year later, in 2004, Cleve Hicks went and stalked a community of chimpanzees in the Billy area. He found that the apes, believed to be Bondos, were actually quite friendly, within reason, going up to the crew, feeling their clothes and studying them and so on. So they didn't fear the crews, but they weren't exactly very friendly either. So what about Williams' grandiose super expedition to go back to Beeley, find the apes and show up all of the old fogies in the professional primatology paradigm? Well, it never happened because she was paralysed in 2005. Big L. That was really mean. I'm very sorry. So, with Williams no longer on the case, 2006 saw Cleve Hicks going on to document the apes in the wild for 20 hours straight. He claimed that he, and I quote, saw nothing gorilla about them. The females definitely have a chimp's sex swellings, they pant hoot and tree drum, and so on. No footage or pictures, however. This, paired with Hicks rifling through the feces of the chimps for DNA analysis, affirmed the stance that the chimps are exactly that. Chimps. You know, weird as they are. They just seem to be a lot bigger and have totally different behaviours, which is kind of unusual. But what is of note, however, is that, to the surprise of absolutely no one, the press, in this case New Scientist, misreported and misquoted his findings, downplaying some of the refutations and repeating some of the more shaky facts, like the whole howling at the moon thing, which even the locals say is bullshit. Oh, what? A tabloid journal misrepresenting statements and facts for sensationalist appeal? Say it ain't so. Our most recent development with regards to this Beely business comes in 2019, when Hicks and Company compiled all of their accrued knowledge into a paper based on the chimps of that region. They decided to not even entertain the giant silent lion killer allegations, much to the disappointment of everyone. I think it was because Cleve wanted to be viewed as a serious scientist or chimpologist or whatever the fuck it's called, and he didn't want to be viewed as some eccentric nutcase chasing cryptids through the jungle. So he just completely avoided the topic in its entirety in the paper. So what is the deal with the Beely apes? Are they real? Well, probably not. At least, not real in the sense of them being their own distinctive species. What is more likely is that there is a specific group of normal chimpanzees hovering around the northern Congo that have a strange culture that shares some strange similarities to those of gorillas. What do you mean cultures, Dankula? They're chimps. Yeah, cultures. Certain species of primates, depending on where they are, have cultures. Look it up. The shit is absolutely fucking terrifying. A lot of great apes, like orangutans, gorillas, and certain species of chimps, actually have the cognitive power to form what is essentially traditions. Whether that be a particular tone of hoot that they give out whenever they wake up in the morning, to even things as minute as the way that they peel a banana. There is also the strange behaviour of shrine trees that weirdly a lot of primates have been doing. They pick a specific tree and they throw rocks at it or pile them up all around it. So you get this large tree that is completely surrounded with rock piles or even all just stacked against the trunk itself, and allegedly the chimps will not climb these trees. Scientists cannot find any rhyme or reason for this behaviour. It doesn't assist with hunting, survival, breeding, or any of the other standard reasons behind any animal's actions. But some people have theorised that this could be the start of some sort of proto-religion, and the reason they don't climb the trees is they consider them sacred. I think that's a lot of shite, but still, I really would like to know why monkeys are doing that. So, do I believe that the Bondo apes are real? I think maybe they could be, because it's not really that far-fetched when you think about it. You know, them being over 6 feet tall isn't really that hard to believe, especially when you consider things like the chest span or bicep size of a gorilla, both of which are fucking massive compared to humans. So, apes that can also grow taller than us, I mean, yeah, that absolutely could be a thing. As for the whole walking upright thing, I mean, a lot of apes can walk upright. I mean, fuck, there's shit tons of footage of chimps and gorillas in zoos doing exactly that. They just prefer walking on all fours. Yeah, but primates that only walk upright? What, you mean us? Like us. That's what happened to us. Sometime very long ago, back in the Ooga Booga days, we went from walking on all fours to walking upright. And then that just became the way that we walked. It happened to us, so it's not really hard to believe that it could happen again with other primates. But it does seem very likely that the Bondos are just chimpanzees, but a different kind of chimpanzee with a slightly different culture and behaviours. I do see it as totally believable. You know, it's not like the fucking Congo Brontosaurus fucking legends that some people actually do believe. No, seriously, look it up. There are a lot of people that believe that there are literal brontosauruses alive in the Congo jungle. You know, some great big 60-foot fucking that weirdly no one's ever seen or taken a picture of. But the locals say that they see them all the time. Right, so that's a lot of shite. That's definitely a lot of fucking shite. But the Bondo apes, I do see that as totally believable. So, in summary, I think that the Bondo apes are really just a weirdly tall, insular group of eastern chimpanzees that have, for whatever reason, adopted some strange practices and different behaviours. Maybe this was because of diet, geographic location, genetic mutation, isolation from other chimps, environmental reasons, who fucking knows? Not me, not you, and not anybody else. But the Bondo apes could be real. Or they could just be like many other cryptids throughout Africa. A giant pile of steaming bullshit made up by the local tribes so that dumb tourists will come to the area and spend their money.
It's Count Dankula on YouTube. Everybody should subscribe.